Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another program of the La International Folklore Film Festival. It's its second edition. Today we have with us another filmmaker from a part of India, Nirmal Chander. Nirmal Chander is an award-winning filmmaker who has been working for over 2 decades in the field of documentaries as producer, director, editor, cinematographer, and all. He had made many films. Today, we are screening and discussing his film, All the World's a Stage, which is a dazzling documentary about Sidi Goma community, Sidi Goma art form of Indian descent or African descent Indians, we can call them, or anything. I think we'll just directly start with Nirmal. Nirmal, welcome to the discussion, and thanks for accepting our invitation to screen your film and join for the discussion. Thanks a lot, first of all, from the part of NIFI. I think. First question, with when you watch that documentary, for every viewer will come with how did you reach to that particular topic and the community and their life? How did you reach that?
First of all, thank you for showing the film. It's been long, actually. I made this film in 2008, so it's after many years that I'm, approaching this film again. Coming to your question, I saw them perform uh, before I made this film, and I was interested. Uh, Apart from a black African descendant in India, we all, not that they are black, or it's just that the dance form was also interesting and everything. And but there was no money. So when a little later when I applied and PSBT produced this film, so the interest was there because uh, I was coming into this film. First of all, I should tell you this is my first film. All the World's a Stage is my first directorial film. Before that, I was editing and doing other things. So it was an opportunity for me to travel. I was before this film. I was in Dubai working, and so when I got the opportunity to make this film, we returned, and I said I just want to travel. I had no idea what kind of film I wanted to make. So reached there. I'm not a trained cameraman or anything. I used to edit my first film. So there was no set plan what the film is going to be. I reached there with my camera, and finally the film that you see is not because me as a director wanting to make film, but also my characters, the way they are, the way they accepted me into their lives and all that. And I just traveled with them. It became just whatever is coming my way, sleeping on the pavement or in the 20 people in one jeep traveling to Goa from Bharuch. Everything was just living life, and whatever would come out of it, I thought at the end of it I will gather all the material and see if there is a film. And if you see the film, I was while editing the film, and I started with a little bit of history. I approached it in a typical manner. Okay, there has to be some history so that you understand the Sidi Goma group and all that. But then later on, I realized it was taking away life out of the film, this whole historical part and all that. Everyone comes from somewhere. If you look at my history, I'm sure my ancestors came from wherever they came from. So that's not necessarily was interesting for me. So that's why I put all the historical part as part of the scroll up front in the film. So that if you want any audience that wants to know any history, that's the history. And then let's get on with life. This group, as you have noticed, is all men in their 15 to 50. And so it was a different energy, it was a different vibe. And for me as a filmmaker, it was a great learning experience, how to frame, how to shoot, and how to be, with your characters. And so it was a great process for me. It was a give and take in the sense that what they were sharing with me and whatever little experience I had of about my life and through my camera. So yeah, so that's how the film happened. And I'm glad it works for people, and sometimes I'm sure it doesn't, whatever. But yeah, but I have great memory, fond memories of making this film.
How much time it took for you to get into the characters and go with them and shoot?
Yeah, it took me a year, and I don't even remember how many days I shot. Must be more than 30, 40 days. Because wherever they went, they would call me, like, I would finish a schedule, I will go back, and 2 days later, I will get a call, Nirmal, we are performing in Goa. So then I live in Delhi. So, okay, I'm coming, because I had no structure, as I said. I was not thinking, okay, I have shot enough of their performances, or I've shot this. I was like, I just want to be with them. I just want to enjoy eating, sleeping, traveling, seeing India, So, and I was alone. I didn't have any crew, no sound recordist, no assistant or anybody. I was just one single man crew, like many other filmmakers who do, this kind of filming.
The interesting part I found was though film doesn't speak about the history, but in its soul it tells about how this kind of migrations and people going and coming into a place called India is creating a kind of a multifaceted cultural thing to this particular subcontinent, what you call as Indian subcontinent. The film is touching different types of their lives, different ways of their lives. One about them very proud about their tradition. Other way they presenting it as a something as a performance. So I think you talked it you somewhere they have mentioned it also. So how was their attitude towards this same thing as something as a ritual or a tradition? You can call it ritual, but yeah, certain kind of which is related to their religion and thing. So how was it? How was they open to this thing being presented as something as an art, you can call it, and it being presented as ritual? How did you manage to like mix it? What was your perspective on that?
Uh, you see, first of all, they're very proud of being a Siddhi, and they're very proud of their gene, and they have done enough, and they've consciously made effort to preserve their gene. Like, even about marriages, they usually don't marry outside. Siddhis, don't usually marry. That's how they have maintained their gene pool. For me as a filmmaker, I have touched upon different. I mean, the film touches about. They talk about their history. They talk about using their art, their ritual practices on stage, and they're very conscious about that. I mean, in the film, they do talk about that. Um, what they do, the dhamar they do in the shrine is very different from what they do on stage, and that stage performance is actually not, uh, presented or made for stage by them. It is actually was made by the Gujarat government, because the people in Gujarat government or so-called cultural department thought that Siddhis should be, or African black should be presented this way, with feathers and with paints, because with how the other Indians see black people, we can't deny that. So they were presented like that, and obviously they didn't have any say in how they were presented. They are aware and conscious of that, but I think it was a balancing act between, because the cities, most of the cities are not very necessarily very financially in great situation. So for them, any kind of work, whether and most of these artists uh, perform, but they do other side jobs. Somebody is mason, somebody will be driving, or somebody will be doing other menial job. So for them, these performances was also a way of earning, and also a way of traveling, and also a way of keeping their tradition, and popularizing it in whichever way. When they have, it's a internationally famous group. But the fact is that this presentation is not their presentation, but they have went along with it because that was the only way to get work and to be on stage. Uh, so for me, I will I was just recording or presenting what I was seeing. I was not going to interfere in their approach to their art form and rituals. But that was the whole thing. That's why the film deals with the stage, which is not necessarily uh, their own choice and their own life. So as an audience, you can see for yourself and judge for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of that film also. Film speaks to you. It's what you see the film, and each audience will get their own perspective on that. Their own, they may like it, they may not like it. That's the beauty. I liked it. Also, somewhere I as a film form also. I like so lot of areas where you have worked on your sound design, especially on syncing the drum beat with lot of sounds. Sometimes it's animal sounds where you go to the village. Sometimes it's the train sound while they travel. Sometimes it's their dialogue itself, or the song they're going to sing. So how was that? How did you sound design it? Because these African art forms, obviously like Indian art forms also, their percussions are very very important. They have lot of instruments as we have in our culture. So how did you design that? Because the drum beats has been there over whole the film, and it's been synced with a lot of other elements. Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I love their music. I mean, it's ritual in nature and spiritual, and so and I mean, of course, the beats and the Africanness and the body movement and all that is very, it's lovely. But that is one part, and how to bring it on cinema to make it work on film. Like, if you remember, there is a sequence in the film where the shot starts from women talking about themselves and whether they want to be part of this city dancing on stage and all that, and then the camera walks through, glides through the house, and then comes to father teaching his son. So he was teaching there, he was on radio mic, and I was interviewing these women, and I said, oh, it will be lovely if you can, so I told him to keep practicing and I will come to you. So like that kind of design was done on the spot, in that sense that you recorded it. And then of course and I'm also, you see, an editor. So though I was making my first film, I guess the editing sense somewhere was running through my storytelling even while I was filming. Like, I mean, the film has almost, I think, 7 8 characters or 9 characters, and so I would not be shooting with all of them. Whenever I went, I will like decide, okay, for this schedule I will just speak to Nasir, and then next schedule I will follow up with somebody else, and then fifth schedule I will come back to Nasir where I left him. Like there is I forget his name. Like he is Fiza, I think, na Fiza, who is talking about his girlfriend and all that. So all that was unfolding over a period of time. So I shot with him, say on second schedule, and then I little later, months later, he was lost, and I started to speak to. So I'm just saying, as an editor, as I said, I had no story, nothing pre-planned. But what was unfolding in front of me, I was trying to make sense of it. And coming back to your music design and all that, my sound designer Bobby, who has been with me now for last all my films, I mix with him. He has a great sense also. So to enrich the sound and how to bring the beats more out, the technicality of it and the creative part of it. So he had a major role to play in it, because my audio was also all location, because there was no sound recordist, and I was recording music. It had a lot of problems in it, somewhere it was distorting, and so he spent a lot of time fixing that sound and making it rich and with some substance to it. So that was a big mistake on my part when I was filming, to not have a good sound recordist to record at least good music on location. But I guess I just survived, somehow survived. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and there's certain portions also where you break the photo. Like you talk, sometimes you record them. Sometimes they talk to you, talk to the camera also. You ask them questions which where you want to take the story. So that way also the form wise, I there are many elements which is very interesting to watch it. The major part is their life, how they have shaped it, how they have also how did you what was the proportion? How much did you shoot? How much did you use? How much was the film? How is the making?
I mean, yeah, I think this film was shot in DV cam format, the tape format. It was not HD or any chip based. So I think I shot more than 100 tapes. So that tells you how confused the director I was. So I kept shooting. I mean, wherever I went, they had performances. I would keep shooting. And I mean, I was following so many characters. So you couldn't stop filming in that sense. And there were group situations and traveling shots. So yeah, I mean, film is 1 hour, and I think number of hours would be 70, 80 hours. So it was that kind of proportion. So it took me a long time editing, and then I had my co-editor. So we spent a lot of time editing it and shape because it's all life unfolding. So you can approach and edit this film in many different ways. So this, as I was saying earlier, that and my first few structure had history also as a major chunk, in that sense, talking at length about the whole historical part and everything. And I remember going to Zanzibar Fort, which is a Siddhi fort, to shoot it, and all those things where I was trying to, somehow structure that into the film. But then much later, after many months of editing nonstop, that I realized that that is actually taking away from the life of being here and present with the characters and their life. I mean, they have an interesting history. Even I have an interesting history, but that doesn't necessarily all the time shapes me. The present also shapes me. So I made it just a scroll. And as you're saying, that the film does touch on the historical part, but not as a sit down historical part. It is, it's just referring to it and then moving forward. It is much more weaved into their life rather than a historical section in the film. So yeah, I mean, it was a long process, and mistakes were done, but then again you corrected it, then you recorrected. I mean, it's the editing process went on for long, and shooting also went on for very long.
Yeah, it's how documentaries unfold. The ones like this, it's in the editing table. We shape it, and another interesting fact, interesting thing I liked about the film is the socio-political angle which they themselves talk. That's interesting. They go into a shop and you asking the shopkeeper where are they from, and they come back and talk in Hindi, saying that okay, do you want us to speak in Hindi? And another instance where they've been called for a performance, and they say that why can't you call us for a performance? You're treating us as not in a good way. Why can't you call? So they understands this, but they are Indians. That's the ultimate thing about it. They are Indians. They are born in Indians. They are brought up as Indians. They have all the cultural elements Indian has, but the lineage is from another part, which makes them sometimes outsider of. So how do you view that as a filmmaker who have made a film on them? How with your interactions, which is not in the film itself, how do they view that? How do they sometimes react to it? How do they come over of it? Uh, how do they interestingly handle that particular thing?
Well, I'm obviously it's always difficult. Some who has been subjected to all this discrimination because of race, color, is always difficult for that person. And obviously you will never get used to it, but you have to live with it. It's not a comfortable thing to live with, and we all know that Indians, we do have a thing about black color, and so it was not. I mean, as you've seen in the film, there are two, three sequences that tell you about. But what else to do? I mean, as a filmmaker, I don't believe in in any case, the race and the caste issue and all that, and even the border issue. I mean, I feel that human beings have always traveled, and we all. I mean, in today, it's nothing new. I mean, from centuries, people have been traveling for trade or for whatever reason, and settling down and making a new place their home. And that's the beauty of, I mean, of that's why human life is so rich. And it's sad that this kind of discrimination still exists, and uh, it's tough for anybody. I mean, for Siddhis or for that matter, any other caste or religion, it's tough.
Do you are you in touch of someone still now, or do you?
Few years ago, I mean, sometime I haven't been in touch all the time. The film was made in 2008. It's been 13 years, but I still have their numbers and all that, and I do think of them. But I haven't made a call. To be honest, in last 1 year at least, I haven't called them. I'm
They
sure.
perform all over the place still now.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. But in I mean, their performances are also limited in that sense. What you have seen in the film, one is that the whole attire thing that they do, and then the other dhamal that they do, which is a sitting one, which is more serious and more, spiritual in nature. Uh, so I'm sure they are continuing to do that. That is a source of income for that for them, and to travel and to see the world. So I'm sure they will keep doing it, but haven't been in touch with them, which is.
On the ritual part, I think this there is a this Sufis culture of Islamic tradition. They also have this Indian Sufi tradition, have this very beautiful songs, poetry, everything in their culture. Maybe this group of people who have been followers of Islam also have that kind of very beautiful songs, beautiful cultural history attached to them. So how did you actually was it very comfortable for them to shoot their religious processions, or their day-to-day activities, or
Yeah,
performances? Obviously they'll be.
yeah. I mean, it's a very open. I mean, there is no restriction there. In the shrine, you could be sitting with a camera, and scholars have been doing research on them, and researcher from scholars from abroad also, have been following Sidi Goma and
No, all these traditions, ritual art forms, they are comfortable when they are on stage, or wherever it's not ritual performances. All over the place, I'm saying. Sometime, but they consider it as very sacred when they perform it in the place where they actually do it.
this community. I mean, cities are not averse to being filmed, even in their main shrine, which is in Bharuch, their Baba Pir shrine there. So it's very free flowing. You could be sitting there and filming. So I had no objection, or I was not stopped anywhere from filming. As I'm saying that before me, there have been many scholars who have visited them and filmed with them, and so I'm sure they're open to and comfortable with camera, and even in the shrine.
That comfortable thing is very much visible in the film. They don't feel like something else is filming them. They are with the camera, and they want to talk about them in the camera also. I think that way is that film is very interesting. That I think there's one more. Uh, yeah, women are seen in trance mode. Is there a restriction for women? I think the film talks about their life also.
Yeah,
How
there are
Siddhi.
not necessarily Siddhi women. It's a peace shrine, so women come, women, men, any, I mean, from other religion also come, who have.
I think that way it's a more kind of open space. Ah,
Country. Hindus go to a Muslim shrine if they believe in it. Muslims come to Hindus. I mean, so those women were in the shrine or whatever, they're in trance, because when the music starts, that it creates that kind of feel and all that. So, and I was there, like when what you asked, that was I stopped from filming or, camera was allowed. Like that shot is a perfect example. No one is bothered about my presence there, you know. So,
Yes.
but yeah, about women, I mean, those Siddhi, I mean, I've met the young Siddhi women there who are very keen to perform. And I believe one or two were performing also, not necessarily with this Siddhi Goma group. Siddhi means the community, Goma means dance and music. So there are other groups also. One I think in Ahmedabad, one I think in Bombay. So I think in Bombay group there was a girl dancing as part of the group, but not with Siddhi Goma group. This group that I was.
The particular group which you have made the film.
The leader of the group, Sabir Bhai, said that they are interested and they're trying to train one or two girls from the village, and you know, in future it's possible that they would be joining them. But till I was filming, and even a year later after the film, uh, they haven't taken that step, you know, towards
How
getting.
was the reception of films when you showed to?
I mean, it has been great actually, to be honest. Apart from India, the film traveled a lot abroad also, you know, in US also. And I went for a screening in US. And so I was interested in getting the reaction of black community there. I mean, there is an interest in film like Sidi Goma, the African descendants in India. So, and one thing which can easily happen with the film like Sidi Goma is that and I'm sure many people see it like that. You know, I'm not defending my, you know, I'm not going to defend it, but that oh, this film, um, you know, it's like exotica, no? The blacks and the filmmaker is trying to exploit them and all that. But in America, there was many people came to me and said, this film is so good because it doesn't do that. You know, I mean, apart from the filmmaking and they like the characters and the story and all that, they said usually you can fall for this thing of, you know, making it look and making on this tribe and the Africans and, you know, so the film stays away from that. And they liked it for, of course, for other reasons and also. So I was glad to hear that. Not that I ever thought of, you know, I'm trying to exploit or exoticize. I was not thinking on those lines. I was, as you rightly said, it was like me filming with another person who happens to be black or happens to be fair or happens to be whatever dark. It doesn't matter. I was, but then audience will see it through their own, you know, experience and judgment and all that. So
Yeah, I think we can. It was very glad that you could join us with all the hassles which you were going to. Uh,
you
through.
know,
Yeah, happy that you could share your experiences about the making of the film. Hope we can see more films uh, like this, which talks about how culturally diverse our country is, how we should embrace that cultural diversity, how we should inclusive to more kind of cultures when we are going through not such a good times of cultural inclusivity. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for joining us on behalf of NIFI and all people who are watching us now. I thank you for sharing your experience on making this film, and let's hope for more films like this to come into NIFI in the coming years. Thank you, Vlad. Yeah.
thank you for giving me, you know, sharing my film and showing it to audiences. So great.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.